Today, getting sick is an inconvenience. You feel awful, so you take a pill from the cabinet, book a doctor, or in an emergency, someone calls an ambulance and trained strangers arrive to save you. Help is always on the way. Now go back tens of thousands of years to a small band of hunter-gatherers. You wake up burning with fever, or you've shattered your leg on a hunt. There is no pill, no doctor, no hospital, and absolutely no one coming to help you but the handful of people around you. In that world, a simple infection or a broken bone could easily be a death sentence. So what did ancient humans actually do when they got sick? The answer is far more advanced and far more human than you'd ever expect. It's tempting to assume the answer was simple. You got sick, you were weak, and the group left you behind to survive. Nature, red in tooth and claw. But the evidence says something completely different and far more surprising. Again and again, ancient humans cared for their sick and injured, feeding them, protecting them, even treating them, at real cost to the whole group. This wasn't cold survival of the fittest, it was compassion, and astonishingly, it started long before our own species even existed. The clearest proof comes from a cave called Shanidar in Iraq and a Neanderthal man we call Shanidar I. His skeleton tells a brutal story. As a young man, he was blind in one eye, likely deaf, with a withered, useless arm and a damaged leg that left him barely able to walk. On his own, in the Ice Age, he should have died within days. Instead, he lived for around 15 more years. There is only one way that's possible. His group kept him alive. They fed him, sheltered him, and protected him long after he could contribute much of anything. 50,000 years ago, a band of Neanderthals looked at a blind, crippled friend and decided he was worth keeping alive. That single skeleton rewrote what we thought cavemen were capable of. But they didn't only care for the sick, they treated them, and their medicine cabinet was the natural world. At another site, El Sidrón in Spain, scientists analyzed the hardened plaque on Neanderthal teeth and found traces of yarrow and chamomile, bitter plants with almost no nutritional value. Why eat something bitter and useless as food? Because these plants have real medicinal properties. They were being used as medicine around 50,000 years ago. Across the ancient world, people chewed willow bark, which contains the natural ancestor of aspirin, to fight pain and fever, and packed wounds with honey, a genuine antibacterial. They couldn't see germs or name a single chemical, but by trial, error, and hard-won knowledge, they had figured out which plants could actually heal. And then there's a discovery that sounds impossible. On the island of Borneo, archaeologists found the skeleton of a young person whose lower leg had been deliberately amputated, surgically cut off, around 31,000 years ago. This is now the oldest known amputation in the world. But here's the astonishing part. The bone had healed, and the person lived for years afterward. Think about what that required. Someone knew how to cut through flesh and bone without killing the patient, how to stop the bleeding, how to prevent the wound from getting fatally infected, and then how to care for a one-legged person for the rest of their life. That isn't luck. That is real surgical and medical knowledge, deep in the Stone Age, tens of thousands of years before hospitals existed. Not every illness was treated with plants and knives, though, because to ancient humans, sickness often wasn't just physical. Many believed disease was caused by angry spirits, curses, or something invading the body. So alongside the healers who set bones and picked plants, there were shamans who fought illness with ritual, chanting, and belief. And in the most extreme cases, they reached for something shocking: trepanation, drilling or scraping a hole straight into a living person's skull to relieve pressure, treat headaches and seizures, or release whatever evil was trapped inside. It sounds like certain death, yet we've found trepanned skulls where the bone healed around the hole, which means the patient survived. Ancient medicine was a strange, powerful blend of the practical and the magical. Whatever the method, caring for the sick was never free. A group on the move couldn't just wait around, but a sick or injured person had to be fed when they couldn't hunt, carried when they couldn't walk, and sheltered when they couldn't fend for themselves. Nursing someone slowed the whole band down, drained precious food, and risked spreading illness to everyone else. In a world where survival hung by a thread, keeping a sick member alive was a genuine sacrifice. And ancient humans made that sacrifice over and over, across tens of thousands of years and across different species of human. They chose care, even when care was dangerous. And here's the twist that changes how you see all of medicine. We think of medicine as a modern science, hospitals, machines, chemistry, but its true root isn't a laboratory. It's a hunter-gatherer, chewing bitter willow bark to ease a fever, and a band of Neanderthals deciding that a blind, crippled friend was still one of them. Before there were doctors, there was care. Before there was any cure, there was the simple, radical choice not to abandon the sick. That choice, empathy turned into action, may be one of the oldest and most defining things about being human. Medicine didn't begin with knowledge. It began with compassion more than 50,000 years ago, before our species even walked the earth. So the next time you swallow a painkiller or someone looks after you when you're ill, remember what you're really part of. The pill in your hand is the descendant of that willow bark. The nurse at your bedside is the descendant of a group that carried its sick across the Ice Age. We've added science and machines and miracle drugs. But the thing underneath, the instinct to not leave the sick behind, is tens of thousands of years old, and it may be older than humanity itself. Everything about medicine has changed, except the one thing that started it. And when someone cares for you at your weakest, you're living the oldest medicine there is. Which makes you wonder, what else about being human is far, far older than you think?